It's time for another comparison test. Now, this go-around, I'm not looking at pickup trucks, rather mid-size sedans, the venerable Honda Accord and suave Mazda 6. Each of these four-door family cars is upscale and well-equipped, efficient to operate, and spacious inside. Really, you can't go wrong with either one. But let's dive just a little bit deeper, do some real-world testing, and see if one of these machines has a leg up on the other. You could argue Honda's 10th generation Accord is the benchmark in this segment. Introduced for model year 2018, it shocked the motoring world. I mean, who knew a midsizer could be so good? Ensuring we got the full Accord experience, Honda sent us a top-tier touring model for evaluation, one equipped with leather, a 10-speaker sound system, push-button start, heated rear seats, and much, much more. The current generation Mazda 6 is a bit older than its rival, but you'd never know it. Even though this sedan dates back to about 2012, it still looks like $1 million. Plus, it was significantly refreshed in 2018, gaining an updated interior, a reinforced body structure, and retuned suspension. More than keeping pace with the Accord, Mazda provided a top-shelf Signature model for testing. It came with loads of features and a cabin that's better than what's found in some luxury cars. If it sounds like these cars are equally matched, well, you have been paying attention. They are such perfect rivals, it's almost like they're clones of each other. Don't believe me? Well, I've put together an informative slideshow highlighting some of their shocking similarities. Starting under the hood, both cars in this comparison feature turbocharged 4-cylinder engines, each with about 250 horsepower. Well, provided you put 93 octane in the Mazda's fuel tank. Hiroshima does have a slight advantage in torque output, likely thanks to its half-liter displacement advantage, but Honda parries that blow by having 4 extra gears in its transmission. Next slide, please. Surprisingly, fuel economy is a wash, at least according to the EPA. Mazda's latest and greatest is 1 mpg better around town, but Honda wins on the highway cycle. Combined, they should both average 26 mpg, though we'll see how efficient they are in real-world driving. Make sure to stick around for that. Next slide. Dimensionally, these cars are like twins. Their wheelbases and overall heights are identical. How curious. Width and length are nearly the same as well. Next slide, please. Now, the Honda does have a slight advantage in weight and trunk volume. It's about 150 pounds lighter than the Mazda and offers 2 additional cubic feet of trunk space. Advance the slide. Honda is a master of space efficiency. Their vehicles often deliver far more interior volume than similar models from rival automakers. True to form, Accord leads in basically every cabin measurement. However, the Mazda 6 is so close, the differences are largely academic. Next slide, please. Oh yes, also make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Every little bit helps. Hey, I didn't say next slide. Yeah, there it is, thank you. Next slide, please. One area where these two cars significantly diverge is in parts content. If you want to wrap yourself in Old Glory, grab the Honda. It's built in Ohio, plus its engine and transmission are made in the US of A. The Mazda is pretty much 100% Japanese. Tsugi no slide o onegashimasu. Getting down to brass tacks, even the as-tested price of these two cars is basically identical, including destination fees, which are both $920. The delta between them is a mere $55. Can we get the lights back up? See, I told you these cars were perfect rivals, but helping determine if one has any real advantage over the other, we have also done plenty of objective testing. With all accessories turned off, we've estimated interior noise levels while idling and at 55 miles an hour. We also measured 0 to 60 performance and even took the cars on a 100-mile fuel economy loop, a nice mix of urban, rural, and interstate driving. We topped off the tanks before heading out, putting premium fuel in the Mazda per the manufacturer's recommendation for maximum output. But before getting to all that, let's touch on a few subjective things. If this were a beauty contest, it would be no contest. The Mazda 6 is simply gorgeous from every angle, especially in this color. It's called Soul Red Crystal and is a $595 upcharge. Sure, the Accord has a chiseled, square-jawed look, and I certainly think it's a handsome car, but the overall design is perhaps a touch robotic. The Mazda is sensual, the Honda cerebral. Inside, this Accord simply rocks. There's plenty of richly grained plastic, and all the controls are easy to figure out. This car has a nicer cabin than some Acuras, and that is no joke. But what's up with the shifter? I mean, no, it's not hard to use, but if you're going to have an electronic gear selector, you should really put it up on the dashboard or the steering column, because having it mounted to the center console wastes rather a lot of space. I mean, you could have had an extra storage cubby here. The Honda has a bit more backseat head and leg room than the Mazda, but the cushions are slightly less comfortable. As for the trunk, liftover height is lower with the Accord at about 26.5 inches versus roughly 29, a minor advantage. The infotainment system is not my favorite, but it's speedy enough and gets the job done. Thanks to its Nappa leather and stitched ultra suede trim, the Mazda 6 Signature's cabin is pure luxury, and it feels a skosh richer than the Accord's interior, even if its Japanese Senwood accents kind of look like plastic. There's a Bose 11-speaker sound system and a heated steering wheel. Unfortunately, though, the infotainment system is a confounding mess, and you can't use the touchscreen while driving. At least Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included. Also, its backup camera is terrible. It's got the resolution of a potato. Both these sedans also feature a full complement of advanced driver assistance technology. I'm talking about things like adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, automatic emergency braking, traffic sign recognition, and more. Plus, they are both IIHS top safety picks, so go ahead and crash, you'll probably survive. Beyond all that, each one has a head-up display and even ventilated front seats to keep your giblets cool, because lower temperatures equal higher sperm counts. It's true! Behind the wheel, this Honda's performance is, well, it's astounding. It really feels like there's Civic Type R DNA in this four-door family car, and that is something that was reflected in its 0 to 60 acceleration. Just a reminder, to get an acceleration time, we used the same stretch of pavement and averaged things out over 3 separate runs, all of which were completed within minutes of each other. With both cars in sport mode, we brake torqued them and then took off. Dropping the hammer, this Accord ripped to mile-a-minute velocity in a sports car rivaling 5.7 seconds. It is seriously fast and makes nice sounds to boot. Undoubtedly aiding that figure was this car's 10-speed automatic gearbox. It is nicely dialed in, tearing through its ratios without any harshness or sloppy shifts. As for the steering and ride quality, this thing is the real deal. It's entirely pleasant to drive in nearly every way, though the ride does feel just a touch harsher than the Mazdas, though it's not really a big deal. One downside to the Accord is its brakes. The system is electrically rather than vacuum boosted, and it's annoyingly robotic. It almost feels like a video game or something, and this can actually make stopping smoothly in some driving situations a challenge. I don't like it at all. As for interior quietness, with all accessories switched off, this Honda registered about 64 decibels at idle and 87 at 55 miles an hour. After completing our fuel economy loop, the Accord rolled a claimed 101.4 miles. Back at the filling station, we topped it up with 3.323 gallons of fuel, which resulted in 30.5 miles per gallon, much better than its EPA combined rating of 26. For reference, the trip computer said it averaged 30.4 mpg, a strong showing in either case, especially on regular grade gasoline. Swapping into the Mazda 6, I'm a bit surprised. Sure, it is a pleasure to drive, so don't get me wrong, but it really doesn't feel any better or more engaging than the Accord. I guess I just expected a little bit more from the Zoom Zoom company. Also, this driving position doesn't fit me quite as well as the Hondas. I'm a bit too high up and there's slightly less footroom, plus the plastic accent on the seat is still jabbing me in the back, just like it was about a year ago when I first reviewed this new Mazda 6. This engine delivers tons of low-end twist, all without any torque steer, though it does feel a tiny bit rougher, just a little bit less refined than the Honda's power plant. On the other hand, it responds with much greater immediacy, accelerating the car effortlessly, often without requiring a downshift. But can the Mazda's extra displacement overcome the Accord's Type R sole and 10-speed gearbox? Squealing the tires, it hits 60 miles an hour in an average of 7.4 seconds, a slower time than expected, and one that's more than a second and a half behind the Honda. Fortunately, that's still plenty quick. Plus, it feels faster than that thanks to its big, fat torque curve. With that big block 4-banger at tickover, the Mazda 6 emitted about 63 decibels of racket. At 55 miles an hour, that figure grew to a still hushed 87. It proved to be 1/10 of a decibel noisier on average than the Honda, a shocker since the Accord seems significantly louder. As for efficiency, the Mazda 6 clocked 101.1 miles on our fuel economy run, consuming 3.220 gallons of gasoline in the process. That equates to about 31.4 miles per gallon when worked out on paper. Again, that means this car handily beat its 26 mile per gallon combined rating. As for the onboard computer, it claimed 30.2 mpg. So, from interior noise levels to pricing, real-world fuel economy to dimensions, these cars are all over each other like chocolate hazelnut spread on a slice of toast. So let's recap the pros and cons of each and then crown a winner. The Accord wowed us with its exceptional fuel economy, sports car performance, refined transmission, and cavernous cabin. As for the Mazda, its sophisticated looks, luxury car trimmings, torquey drivetrain, and fuel economy were equally impressive. But not everything is perfect. The Honda's bizarre brakes, seemingly noisy interior, and weird shifter put me off, plus everyone that doesn't own a Camry probably already drives one of these. The Mazda's wood trim, infotainment system, blurry backup camera, and ratio-shy transmission also let me down. Now, at this point, I have not tested the 2020 Hyundai Sonata or that new Plymouth Breeze I've been hearing great things about, but I am comfortable calling these two the best sedans available on the market right now. And after all of the testing we have done, I ultimately think the Accord here is a slightly better choice for most drivers. However, if you're a bit more fashion forward or you want a sedan with a slightly nicer interior, grab a Mazda 6 Signature. Either way, you're not going to be disappointed. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the AutoGuide.com YouTube channel to get all of our latest features and vehicle reviews.